We're live a few minutes late, but I am so excited. This is actually 60 days in the making. One of my most favorite people happens to be one of my coaching students in the Baltimore, Maryland, DC, that area there. She has been an investor for years. She owns over 25 long-term rental properties and actively flips. And I thought it was cool when she flipped the house next door to George Washington's house, Mount Vernon. So she truly is amazing. She doubled her business last year. And what's crazy is 60 days in and partnering in our company, she has not only capped, but she was scared to grow a team. And now she's brought on 3 agents to her team. But most importantly, it's like who she is. When I was telling her about one of my bucket list items of what I want to accomplish for the world before I die, she told me that she started an entrepreneur school in Uganda to teach entrepreneurism to help that by the age of 30. So she is a true humanist. We have had many coaching conversations with kids on top of her head. She has 3 boys, and she is truly one of the most inspiring people, like truly amazing humans that I know. So with no further ado, my friend.
Hey. What's up, Jen, from across the country?
Oh my gosh. Any other presidents' homes have you flipped nearby?
Let's see. Maybe we'll go down to the Jefferson Estate, Monticello next. But no, nothing. I'm located here in Northern Virginia, Alexandria specifically, which is just right outside Mount Vernon, just down the street from George Washington's original Mount Vernon estate. So, and fun fact, we got married on Martha Custis's family, who was Martha Washington, married George Washington on her family's farm just down the street as well.
Oh my gosh. Now, so we all want to know, like, first of all, like, you also take a lot of vacations, you go to the beach, you accomplish all these things and you're quite young. How did you find your way into real estate?
It was kind of like a curiosity sort of in college, and right outside college, my parents, my mom specifically was just like, hey, while you start a career, you should consider buying a few rental properties here and there along the way and, provide some long-term cash flow and wealth building over time. I did get introduced to Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad book early on and kind of,
What year was that?
Maybe I think it was about 08. So I was in college in 08 when the market was going down, at that time was going through a huge correction. And I had a college professor, a finance professor, and he said, if you guys do anything smart, it's buy real estate in the next couple of years. So I was like, okay, this smart guy said it. Some other smart people are saying the same thing, so I'll look into it. And I just followed that path, and I ended up eventually getting my license, but I started the process by, wanting to buy properties and bought a few slowly. And once I figured out how it all works, I thought, hey, this is great, you could buy one house for the next 10 years. And then, by the time I'm 30, 32, 33, I'll have 10 rental properties. And now I'm 34 and we have over 20. So it worked out. And, in the meantime, got my license, started selling more houses. And then my husband and I met my husband in the business, and we do all this together now.
And so when did the husband come along? Talk about that. Because I know you have, during your real estate career, you've had 3 babies, and I remember just for anybody that's listening to know what a good human she is. She was how many months pregnant, and she had her 2 boys, and I was sick in Baltimore, and she came all the way down to Baltimore to drop me off some goodies.
Let's see. I was about 4 months pregnant or 5 months pregnant. I just found out I was pregnant. I found out late on the 3rd one here. So to answer your question, I met my husband. We met about 2012-ish. We started, kind of seeing each other for a few years, and then both realized we had similar goals for, real estate, business, life, all these things. So we had similar goals and values, and, started seeing each other beyond business, and that's it. And since then we've had 3 children together. I have 3 boys that I birthed on my own. It's crazy to say that because I feel like I'm still a kid sometimes. Um, and they are ages, my oldest will be 6 soon, and then 4, and a brand new baby, 6 months old.
Oh my goodness. And it's so crazy that during this time you've already you've already done a significant amount of business and hired agents. You are nursing your son and balancing your kids and your flips, right? And I'd love for you to talk more about your story about flipping because you're not the average flipper. And tell the audience like what you found like your niche in, like what made you different about the flips, that you were able to realize top dollar and do it a little bit differently than just what was being done, because you also got into the market at what was deemed a really crappy time, right?
Yeah, I mean, people always say everything. Every time you get in the market, they're always saying it's a great market or it's a bad market. We've been hearing both sides of the story since 2008, since 2010, since 2013. People have been predicting a crash forever and they're still talking about it. It's crazy, but don't listen to them. Just go with your gut. Just follow the people that actually are in the trenches doing the thing. And then you will find, individuals and groups and wonderful people that are actually succeeding in what you want to do. And that's what we did. We really didn't listen to the naysayers of, oh, you can't do it. You can't make it into anything. We just said, well, that's what they think. But we, looked for people and resources who was actually succeeding in the areas that we wanted to go into. So, we started flips. We've done some wholesaling too, if anybody's familiar with that, a long time ago. And what we found is that one, we love the flipping side of it. One, because you get to kind of see this whole project go through it. It really, brings out the creative side of us. We were both like artists as kids growing up, so that is sort of fun. Very stressful though. But what we realized is that in certain markets, we were able to put out a very cool and interesting design on the product, certain colors, certain fixtures, certain styles, and that would get a lot more attention and excitement from buyers than doing just what everybody else did. Now, honestly, when we first started, it was pretty easy just to say, hey, okay, the house down the street, they painted the house gray and white, everything gray and white, or whatever was popular at the time. We did that and you sell a house, but didn't really excite people as much. And we started going really bold with colors and ideas and fixtures and design, and bringing in third-party designers as well to kind of help us get outside our own little box. And it brought us a whole lot more attention, which ultimately resulted in, selling houses for more money than we expected because it excited people. And, I give my husband Jay a lot of credit for that because he likes to call himself, more of an artist than a builder. Not that we build some like crazy Picasso looking houses, but we take, the basic specs of a typical house in a typical neighborhood that we have older houses here, 1950s subdivisions. And we give it a different idea than somebody else has used, in that it excites people. They say, hey, wow, this is everything I want. Nothing crazy or unpractical, but it makes me feel, it evokes an emotion that similar to walking into like a modern art museum.
Mm-hmm. I love that because even if you're not a flipper, I think any agent can apply to that theory to them. It's the little things sometimes. It's like sometimes we think it's this big, huge thing we have to do or change, but like you found the basic foundations, found little things that you could do to be different and stand out amongst your competition. And I feel like agents can take that message on what you're doing, because say it's ABC script, or I'm going to do open houses, but what are you going to do different about it? It doesn't have to be huge. It could just be, your artist splash. And I think everybody's an artist at the end of the day. If you look at what the definition is, it's real. We all have different gifts. You have gifts, and we talk about winning, but I would love to just get to some trauma here, but talk about I know we have been open behind the scenes about all of our failures, about stuff I currently or you're currently failing at? Like if you were looking back, and something you failed at, but if you can go back to your past self, you would have given some advice. What kind of fail, have you had, and what have you learned from it?
Oh gosh, we failed. Everything that we've tried, we've failed at. So everything that we're doing now, we failed at big before. And then we are like, okay, let's try this again a different way. And if, we're not learning at some point along the way, I learned you have to learn from your failures, not just fail and quit. You only fail when you quit, right? So, there's been, bad partnerships you get into, you meet, other investors or agents, you meet with them, you think it's meeting of the minds, you get into it, and then it doesn't work out, unfortunately. There's disagreements. So that can really slow things down, slowed a lot of progress down. So I feel like it like took us back 2 years just on the time, the energy, the money, all of that. So that was a little bit of a failure. We weren't so good on some due diligence on getting into proper partnerships. I think mostly because we didn't really know what we were looking for. We were sort of like picking things up along the way, and we were not as intentional with things as we are now. And which is what I love about meeting you and exploring a platform that helps us grow intentionally. And there's like dozens and dozens and dozens of people, including yourself, that are constantly helping to support and positively push us forward and pick out our strengths and run with those and grow with it. And that's been the biggest, I think, game changer and help, which is why I reached out to you for help, for coaching help, was because we had so many failures. And I'm like, man, I want to do this, but not, I don't want to fail again in this regard. I'd like to partner up with some people that actually can help push us in the right direction, because we're willing to do all the work, always willing to do the work and put in the time necessary. As you see it, the more kids we have, the more time efficient I feel like we become. Not perfect, but you don't have a full day and night and weekends. You have a few hours a day to get everything done, and we just make it happen, moms, dads, everybody. So
sleep is not something we have full access to with little babies.
Yeah, and you get it, of course, mom of 4 kids, you totally get it. So that was hard. It's straining on relationships. There's seasons where our marriage can go through a hard time, because if we're constantly changing, it's like, okay, this is a new thing every time we have a child, that adds a new little human to the mix. And there's just a lot of changes every time you have a big life event change like that. Fortunately, we're not folks that have to move all over the country like some people, so we are able to stay grounded in one location. But that was a failure. We have lost money on some projects before in the past, just because we were in the wrong location. We got into an area where it didn't support the type of business model we wanted to do, and so we couldn't sell a house for as high as we thought, stuff like that. So it happens, and we just learn from that, and we say, hey, okay, this is our new direction we're going. So oh gosh, if I had a tally, I'm sure my failures might be bigger than my wins, but we don't focus on that, so it's hard for me to think of it.
You're failing forward, but I do, pick something up in something you said, is when you were alone, and that's why you sought me, and it took me a whole year to get you over here, but you were failing alone. When you're failing alone, you didn't want to keep failing alone. That's why you're like, hey, and I was sharing from all my failures and my mentors, and it's fail more, fail faster, but fail better. And when you already sought out you saw the power in people and collaboration from the very beginning. Those the Masterminds or the Robert Kiyosaki's. So you did seek out collaboration. Was it they say where the sum total of 5 people we spend the most time with? Was it say maybe your mistakes with people, maybe the people around you as well, who you're partnered with, who you're getting your advice from, your thoughts from, big thinkers? Tell me a little bit about that journey of being alone and then joining like more masterminds and collaboration?
Yeah, so, I was fortunate growing up to have entrepreneurial parents and relatives and people in my close network. So I was able to see that happen in front of my eyes as I grew up over, 20 plus years. But then I realized as I got to a certain point recently is that they're only limited to either the industry that they're in or the business that they know or what they've been doing for the last 20 years or 30 years or so. So I used them as a model for the longest time, but then I realized it didn't, there was a ceiling to that. I was like, okay, that's what they believe. And then they started having some sort of negative, responses to what I was doing. And I'm like, I now that reached a ceiling, I need to go elsewhere. So when I sought out groups and masterminds that were actually collaborating, I said, hey, I want, to meet some people and put myself in the room with people that are doing way bigger things than I am. And also we got to a point in our life where instead of over time, you kind of add on to things. Okay, you add two of these, two of those, you're adding. But now we're sort of in this season where it's time to multiply. So how do we multiply and go big, and we want to 5x, 10x, 100x what we're doing, or figure out how we can take what we're doing and, scale it or multiply it in other ways or build residual, forms of cash flow and income, and also help people and be in an environment where others are helping others and we're collaborating, because we do have a lot to share. But are we sharing the right things? What's the feedback? What can people learn from us, and how can we help others? We just got to a point where we thought we knew. If you ever get to a point where you think you know everything, then you're in a bad spot. And if you know more than everyone else, you're in a worse spot. It's like, how can we put ourselves back kind of at the bottom of the starting out, so that everyone else is doing things and we're like, oh, to them, to everyone else, these huge things are like no big deal. Of course, that came with decades of hard work and effort. It is a huge deal. But once you get yourself in the room with people like that, then it becomes like a reality for us as well. And
Does it feel good to be dumb? I love feeling like dumb. It's like, I know you've been a part of the masterminds. We haven't had an in-person one yet, but I know one's coming up in August. And tell me about, because I love our weekly masterminds because I feel dumb. I'm surrounded by people that I might know something in my pillar of business really good over here, but this person has gone deeper or different. And, the massive level of sharing, tell me about the power that you've been, I know it's only been 60 days that you've been, a partner here, but you're a partner nonetheless, and you're multiplying, which is so exciting because you're multiplying in 60 days, what we were adding, 7 months last year?
Yeah. I mean, when I was on my own, I thought, oh man, I'm never going to do this, because how am I ever going to build a team or grow the real estate sales, because I have to figure it out all by myself, or I have to go and pay, $100,000 secret special group in Fiji, which I'm not going, or whatever it is. I'm not doing that with my kids traveling all over. So, I finally landed in this mastermind, and it's been a total game changer. I mean, everybody is collaborating and sharing the things on a weekly basis, what is working and what's not working. And if anything, there are some things that you don't even think of, and it's brand new information on a weekly basis. But also just sharing, day-to-day struggles of being in a market, what's changing again on a weekly basis, on a daily basis, monthly, and parameters that people should expect or not expect, what's realistic and what's not. And this is on a national level. So, even though our business is hyper local, it's good to be in touch with what's happening all over the country and all over the world, so you can really stay ahead of the game locally, provide this amazing service to our clients, and also help our team agents that come in and other partner agents, people that think they're sort of lost on their own too, and they can't maybe get to a physical location like me, to have all this available virtually is like, I can't even explain it. It's just, it's, again, I like last year I doubled my sales from the previous year, and this year I'm on track to do about the same, but this time all my team agents are going to be doing that. And these are agents that only had a handful of transactions last year, and they're already doubling their sales in the first 90 days. And they're on track to just like totally, crush their previous transaction count. And they're not putting in any more effort than they already were. It's just being a lot more efficient and intentional with their time and their schedule, and showing them, introducing them to different ways to think about this business.
And it's so cool that you don't have to do it all on your own. You're able to tap into the, like, you don't have to train them all on your own. You don't have to find an assistant. They're able to tap into all the tools that me and you have to tap into. And, I would love to hear your take, because you obviously put your money where your mouth is in real estate, and more than just building your team, but also in real estate in itself. And now that you're building the team, the opportunities of the shifting market, because the naysayers, you hear negative news all the time. A lot of, our clients have fears, and true fears, because, negative news sells, and we're going through a political season. So we see a lot more negative news. But in this, I always been waiting for this market, the gift of the shift, just like you, because I'm willing to work harder, but it's working smarter and saving yourself from fails. So I'd love to just hear your thoughts about how your team, how you and I will say one of your limiting beliefs last year was not growing your team, right?
Yes, I was scared for no reason. Now I'm doing it, and I'm like, oh, what was I waiting for? But yes, it was the limiting belief was that I had to have everything already set up, that I needed to know everything, I needed to teach them everything, start from scratch, or have all these admin people, all this overhead. That was another thing. It's a lot of startup costs to do things the old traditional way. But now, since, like you said, all these resources are available, the startup is much faster, and to get people going and agents going so they can start doing what they love, which is helping clients, showing houses, selling houses.
Yeah, and I would say, I know with the shift, it affects different markets differently, and in timing. But are you feeling the shift right now in your business?
Oh, absolutely. There is a market shift, and I feel like we're a few months past it already, and it's more of a stabilizing where we are. It's more equal. Instead of having 7 offers on a house, there's 3 offers on a house. So it's not stagnant. It's not, completely dead. Prices are adjusting a little bit. People who are trying to get the top of the market maybe came down a little bit. We're feeling it, but again, like you said, I look at it as a gift. I look at it as a transition to an opportunity to get out there and show people, the services that we offer, why it's a great opportunity to work with us, and how we're going to help them get through this shift and keep a positive outlook, but be realistic and know what we're talking about. But we do the work to educate ourselves on how to help others succeed in selling real estate and selling their home and getting top of the market. Whereas, some people in the last couple of years, they got maybe a little bit lazy because it was so easy to sell a house. So you see them just listing a house with no other effort. What?
Maybe a little bit of an ego as well.
A little bit, yeah. Everybody was used to taking, or not everyone, but some people take a few cell phone pictures, list it, put a sign in the yard, and they could get, a bidding war. But it's not, that's not happening anymore. So having this group to collaborate through this whole, uncertain time has also been so helpful, because, when you do have a house that maybe isn't selling how you expected, I have at the click of 2 buttons, I could ask, 4,000, plus agents that are top producers, hey, what's going on in your market? What are you guys doing? How are you, how are you? And we're collaborating on how we're all adding more value to our clients, not just crying. It's like, oh, it won't sell, oh, it's the market, everything's crashing, sell it all. And, whatever, like doomsday. It's not like that at all. It's very intentional. Like, this is how we add value. This is how we do the research. This is how we put in the work to be successful, make it happen. And frankly, I love it. And my team agents who've joined as well, they, join in on this, and they love it too, because they say, wow, we've never seen anything like this, locally, where they can get that access with being a newer agent or not as experienced agent. They get direct access to that, which is amazing. Usually, from my experience, it was, like I said, it's always for the elite top producers in the whole country that had to join some secret society like the Illuminati. I don't know.
I love what Dan Vera, I think he said it last week. He had like he hiked Mount Rainier, and he had like a lot of ego dissolution, and he came back with a statement that I think puts it perfectly. It's like, I might have been an agent 18 years and gone through good, bad, flipped, failed on huge, like in 08, and like rebuilt and whatever. But, here you are, your story, his story. We all have a lot of experience, but we've never experienced this exact market at this exact time. And it's like, it doesn't matter if you're in the business 2 years or 20 years, we're all new agents in this business, in this new market that we're in. And being all new agents together is a lot less scary than doing it alone. Because I know even me and you, texting at night, not just waiting for the weekly masterminds. Sometimes it's just that, like, that friendship, it's just that knowing that, like, you're working with people you love and that you truly want to succeed. People like you, people like that, I know, have come to you because they already loved you, personally. And in that, like, value is what you touched on, and value too. Like, I would love for you to talk about your legacy. Now, I know, like, for you, you have goals, you have money goals, you have family goals, but you also have world human goals. One you've already accomplished. But I'd love for you to talk to me, like, what that legacy looks like for you.
Legacy.
Yeah.
Kids. I mean, it's a huge reason why my husband and I, we got together and we clicked almost instantly over these legacy type conversations. It's, the first conversation is building financial independence, cash flow, creating opportunity for others, and wealth building so that we can help others and do things just, also be able to enjoy life and have the type of life by design instead of being forced into some pathway. At the same time, we knew it's not, easy, it's hard work, but we said, hey, we can work hard for 10, 15 years, and then we're essentially set for life. Of course, we'd like to do it sooner, but realistically, let's say 10 years for an overnight success, right? So that includes, our charitable, the things we do for charity. We partnered with, a local charity, but they're global. They help children all across the world. We help build libraries. That was, a dream, an initial dream of my husband's. And then I absolutely got behind that. And we have one built, and we're working on, the next one is coming up. We're building libraries with schools in areas of, 300,000 people where there's no access to public library.
Oh my goodness. Where at?
The first Delia library is currently in Kampala, Uganda. That was partnership with Assisting Children in Need. My husband Jay is he's on the board. Excuse me if I get his title wrong. I think he's the director of construction or development, something like that. But he helps guide them on the construction side of things and developing new properties. So we're communicating with them on building the next one. And so that comes from just understanding that it's really not a lack of people's effort or not a lack of people, what they're born into, and whatever their current life circumstances is, it just comes down to a lack of education. And fortunately, we live in an era of time where there's access, well, at least we take for granted our public library system and, you know, all the access to books and information. But now we have the internet that has opened up, you know, with YouTube and to all the social media, access to positive information that helps people get out of whatever current situation they maybe were born into or forced into, not by choice. And, you know, with the power of educating yourself and reading correct, you know, books and things that help you open your mind to other ideas, you can start your life like on a whole new path. So that's kind of the, you know, the basis around everything that we do is like helping educate others improve their life and open their mind to something that is just not like traditionally taught in whatever part of America or part of the world that they're experiencing that.
Can I just put a controversial? I think it's the world. I think like academia in itself has failed. Real estate school, do they teach you actually how to do real estate? I went to Cal State, whatever, you know, and it's like they teach me how to really run a business because really like life is experience, great teacher. But you know, they don't teach us how to think sometimes. But like the limiting belief part of it, because it's so amazing that you're investing in the most important thing we can invest in is like ourselves learning. And it made me think of the story I heard yesterday. There was a guy who had he was failing. He was growing up in the inner city, a single mom, not a lot of money, bullied, and he took an IQ test. He had 140. So he gets into Stanford. He gets to be a physician. He has success. They found out like 20 years later that they had messed up the IQ reports and his IQ was actually 70. And because he thought he was 140, he was able to invest in his schooling, his training to be able to become the success that he has. And how many, if libraries that like Rachel, you know, were to put in, how many people would not succumb to these like limiting beliefs, whether they're our own or they're the other people around us, our families, our spouses, our friends. Like, I mean, I don't come from a capitalist family. I know you've had your mom is like very inspiring to me and has been inspired to you, but you've done this like yourself on your own. And now you're planting seeds like all over, you know, of people investing in themselves. So I just, you know, thank you for that. I think that's one of the most exciting things I know about you is, you know, where your heart is. And I would just love to know, where does that stem from deep down? Was it something in childhood, like a dream you had as a kid? Like what has inspired you to think beyond, you know?
Oh, that's a good question, Jen. You know, I just feel like I was raised that way. I think I had the benefit and blessing of having a lot of family members. My dad is one of 10 children. They're all like, you know, that whole side of the family is all very loving and giving. And my mom was one of 4, and her side of the family is all loving and giving. And fortunately, I have a lot of people in my life, friends and family, that I feel like poured a lot of like love and you know, help into me, even if it's just, you know, if you're into love languages, mine is the quality time. So just
I know we're talking about going to Greece.
Yeah and spending some quality time together on a yacht one day, maybe, who knows. So I think I don't know, I just had a lot of people that's how they, you know, live their life, and that's how they felt things should be. Nobody's perfect. I mean, it wasn't like perfect people. But I modeled that, and I said, okay, one thing that I think I recognized, that the only thing stopping people from doing more of what they wanted to do was, it came down to essentially a financial limit, and, you know, economics, finances, and also education. People say this is how you should be, but they didn't necessarily have the means or know how to get there. So I've sort of always been on this journey of like, I used to tell myself, like, I can learn anything as long as somebody teaches me. So, you know, I had a problem again with the education system where there was a few classes I didn't do so well. And I used to, now this is a bad, you know, I'm not blaming it on any teachers, but I used to think, okay, this teacher does not do a good job on showing us how to learn the information. and this other teacher does an excellent job on showing us how to learn the information. So that to me, I guess, always had a big impact. And same thing, I was an athlete growing up too. I played, college Division I sports. I played, growing up, ice hockey, field hockey, lacrosse, softball, baseball. I was always around my brothers, so just kind of an all-around jock. And I experienced the same thing with coaches. They're, playing against other players in the same sport. Maybe myself and that individual player were equally as skilled, but if they had a better coach than I did, I saw that their team was always succeeding and winning, and vice versa if I had a better coach. So that always stuck to me. And so I always felt like, okay, if I can just teach myself or learn or get a coach or, learn how to do that thing, I can give back and be that type of person that, I think is great and that can help others. But it does take, having finances and ability to freedom to do things in order to be able to make those decisions on your own. Otherwise, you're going to somebody else and begging them to accept your idea, and maybe they like it or not. So instead of, I like to have my destiny in my own hands. So I went out and tried to do it all, figure it out.
Well, you have figured it out quite well, your FIFO skills. If you had an agent, like if you had one piece of advice, no matter what, no matter where they're at in their career, just new, been in the business, want to grow, maybe they're hitting a roadblock, what's one piece of advice that you would give, or maybe even one piece of advice that you've gotten that's really helped?
I would say it's always have an open mind to new ideas. Don't ever think you know everything or have it all figured out, because you don't. There's always somebody doing either what you're doing more efficiently, more effectively, on a larger scale, in a different way, more successfully. And so if you ever feel stuck or unsure on what to do next or what you should be doing, look for a coach, look for a mastermind group of people, or look for groups of people that are collaborating regarding the thing that you want to learn or excel in. And every time that I've gotten stuck and I've reverted back to that mindset of, okay, who do I need to get around and get in touch with to help get out of this sort of rut. Once I find that person or group, it helps, jump, like leap to the next thing, the next phase. That is not easy. Of course, it does take work. And every time you get there, it's a little scary because you have to kind of leap off the cliff, because you're really changing your mindset, how you think about whatever you're doing. Things are not always as you think they are. And I'm sure you've heard this before, but the only thing constant in life is change. So yeah.
Sfumato. Remember, embracing change and embracing ambiguity and uncertainty. I love that. Changing is always here. I heard a really good quote yesterday. A lot of agents that don't want to grow, or don't maybe want to have a team, or maybe don't want to have another buy investment property or change brokerages or whatever it is, because it's a lot of stress. And you had mentioned, it's a lot of hard work and stress sometimes, but not having stress is a dead person's goal. Because we get to pick our suffering. We get to pick our sacrifice. We could either sacrifice later down the road at some unspecified time when we have to change, oh crap, it really has changed and my business went down 90% and now my pants are down, or we could change now. And, who do we need to be, is what I loved what you said, is who we needed to be. I know, for me, I always look at, and I'd love to learn yours, Tony Robbins, emulate, not that I could be him, or would be a little different because I'm not Tony Robbins, but I love to emulate, so much of his behaviors, his actions, how intentional he is. But, has there been anybody like that, somebody that really inspired you from maybe afar, maybe even, I know we talk about history a lot, who you like to emulate, who do you aspire, what traits, or it could be a person?
Yeah, gosh, there really has been a lot of influential people in my life personally, and also, from afar,
Mhm.
virtually, business people and such. Tony Robbins is a big one. I really enjoy him. I really enjoy what he teaches and watching his, listening to his talks and videos. I am a big fan of Grant Cardone. He's kind of a newer age guy, but he likes to call himself, Uncle G, and I think he teaches a lot of younger people. He helps open up the mindset of multiplying, think about multiplying, not adding. He's more into the multifamily sector, but again, real estate investor. And
He also happens to be with our company, EXP. And
yeah,
also, it's funny because Tony Robbins just came up and he is speaking in August. So, if anybody's watching and they want to reach out, reach out to Rachel and talk about Tony Robbins. But I love that when you said about the compound effect. He's about 10x. In the compound effect, I remember last year we did your numbers at your 100% brokerage that you never even went into. And we added up what all the fees were. And then we looked at the numbers of what you would have just made with EXP and how much more you would have kept, and then now you tapping into the compound factor, just the math, the numbers, right?
oh yeah, the numbers make total sense. On the surface, I didn't think so and never bothered to look into it. But once I was, presented like how the platform actually works, and like the revenue share and the stock share, the transaction fees on 100% brokerage. Once you do, not even that much, and just enough to be working this business full time,
Yeah.
you get all of that back plus, more residual. So it's actually was a much better deal to switch over. For someone like myself who I was looking to just continue doing business.
And you don't
And
have to pay for coaching like you were last year because, we're coaching together. We're financially incentivized as partners. That's why I think so exciting because now I get to go and actually see some of your flips shortly in the near future. I can go visit you. I can give you a hug, and we literally can be working in Greece. And that's the cloud, that's the world we live in. I think that is so exciting. The infinity factor of designing your life, building the business and with the people you love, like you.
yeah, and like you, I mean, we met on the internet. It sounds weird and creepy. If you told us that 10 years ago, we would have been like, no way. But we met online, and I'm sitting here talking to Jennifer Weiner, who, has what, 300, you guys are going to do 300 million or so this year. And you've consistently grown, from, you went from just in what, 15, 16 to, 5, 6, 7 years, you guys like 50x. I don't even know, but it's crazy. And here, I have you on like a text message basis. That's amazing. On top of, the rest of the group that I have, easy access to. I'm just so grateful that you share your time with me because it's so valuable. But you pour into me because we all, share in this together. And I see there's a huge value to that. I like to equate it to something similar to the music industry. If you think there's nobody ever has mentioned this, but like, a lot of these younger people that are starting out, they join groups that are everybody is pushing to have them succeed and grow together. And it's kind of similar. Like I have this like top player, I have like Jay-Z here on my side, Jen Weiner, and she's like, hey, let's help this new kid on the block make it happen. And I like that. So
I love that. So, okay, one thing, what do you love to do for fun? What's one
oh,
crazy thing you like to do for fun?
Oh, now it's just taking the kids out. We have a little, little house on the water, so we take them there, play around on the beach. That's pretty much most of our fun is
The
doing
beach
stuff like
house,
that.
right?
Yeah, yeah, we have a little beach house we recently got, so that's been fun, kind of getting used to that lifestyle.
And obviously, you're helping clients. What is your goals this year in real estate?
We like to hit 50 million in sales as a team. So that's kind of our top level goal. On top of that, build a couple more libraries. Hopefully we'll get one more going before the end of the year. And, on our flips, we like to finish out some amazing, houses. We have about 7 in our pipeline we're trying to finish out, but we want every single one of those to just be the showstopper of the neighborhood.
Oh, I want to go over there right now. Oh my gosh. So, okay, with people listening, where do they find you? Where are you at?
Well, on Instagram and social media, of course, my name, Rachel Zelaya. Just look me up and you'll find me. This is what I look like. And you'll find me on the internet. I'm pretty out there on all the sites. We also go by the tag Flipping Alexandria VA on Instagram.
So I could DM you on Instagram if I'm an agent right now and I want to, learn more about you and, see how maybe I can grow my business or maybe, share.
Yeah, absolutely.
Libraries, charity. So DM Rachel on Instagram. You guys, she really is the real deal. I love you, girl, so much. I'm going to sing a song for you. I'm just kidding. Because that's how happy I was when you came and you partnered. So thank you so much, my friend, for coming on. Namaste. And everybody just say hi to Rachel. She is like the best, honestly.
Oh, thanks, Jen. I appreciate you so much.
I feel a little bit love struck. That's probably what's coming out right now.
We're like soul sisters in our previous life or whatever. I don't know how that works.
We're definitely astrologically connected. Which we all are, right? The same sky and stars. We all look, and there's a new moon in Cancer on Thursday. So perfect time to set your intentions.
Ooh.
Yes, and it's an emotional sign. It's a beautiful sign. It's my oldest daughter who just turned 25 this year sign. So
wow.
Thank you so much. And I thought I was going to see I literally have a picture with you with your son legs on the air on your top of your head. So I'm surprised that there's no kids on your head today.
Oh yes. They had to listen to mommy this time. No interruptions on this one.
Awesome. Well, I know we have a lot of other exciting things in the works, but we'll announce that later. And in the meantime, connect with Rachel on Instagram. And thank you guys for watching.
Absolutely.